Hopefully, fingers crossed. We move into video game news, and we move into interesting. This is kind of fun, not for me, or not
No.
for the person. It's fun
No.
for me. So I think this might be the first case of a Twitch streamer, professional streamer, uh, going to jail, potentially going to jail. So for those of you that don't know,
Oh no, not jail, prison. There's a
prison,
difference.
like big boy stuff. Um, so there's a streamer known as Cheyenne Shea Victoria. She's from Brazil. She's really big. She's known well down there. Uh, she's one of the country's top Counter-Strike global offensive players, right?
Mhm.
That's a huge game that's been around forever, which means it's incredibly difficult to build up and break into that kind of market, right? You have to
Yeah.
be really good. You have to invest a ton of hours. It's not like a Fortnite.
No.
You can't just jump into it and become a star, right? CS:GO is a lot more technical, and you have to know what you're doing. So she retired back in 2019, but she was real popular.
She continued streaming and
Yeah, she
doing the
quit
influencer game.
Global Offensive or Counter Strike so she can be a streamer, essentially. But where before, you know how this esports things go, right? You play the game, you go to competitions, you're sponsored, this and that. Well, she wanted, I guess, to diversify. I don't mind that. That makes a lot of sense to me. So she became an influencer and a streamer. So she did what a lot of streamers and people do. She started an online store selling her merch, right? PewDiePie sells merch, good stuff. Ninja sells stuff. I see it at Goodwill all the time. I'm not making any judgment calls. I'm just saying I see a lot of Ninja stuff at
Don't say it's just a game.
at the Goodwill. So if you want to give your kid something really cheap that he can throw against the wall because he's an angry little guy, go to Goodwill. But everyone has a merch store, right? When you're an influencer,
Yeah.
because a lot of these people do make a lot of money. A lot of them don't make a lot of money. And because it's not like a set paycheck, you never really, it depends on your tip. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you need something to at least supplement you a little bit. It's not a regular job. I mean, it is a job, but it's not the traditional, here's a check every 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
she started a merch store back in 2013. And it recently got into some hot water. So it was reported that 118 customers reported her store to the public ministry of the state of Sao Paulo. Now, this is important to note. There is always going to be complaints on products, no matter how good they are, right?
Oh yeah.
No matter how perfect something is, either someone's not going to like it or it's going to come damaged.
Or they just don't understand the instructions.
Or they just don't understand the instructions. You can see this on Amazon all the time.
Oh,
and
God,
these big
yes.
companies have a kind of an overhead where a certain percentage of people are going to buy it, even if they know what they're doing, not like it. Or because of shipping, you might get something. It's happened to me, right? You order something, it looks great, and maybe it comes in and something's not working, right? It happens with technology more because there's a certain defect rate. And I've had, I think I bought a main board for something and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, shit. Amazon was like, hey, no problem. Send it back. We'll get you covered. 2 days later, I had a new one, no charge to me, right? So these companies have this sort of issue, which is why when I go, like, I have sold on eBay for years in the past, like it helped me get through college. But when I see like people with 100% star ratings, like 5 out of 5, perfect reviews, and have sold thousands of things, I am immediately suspicious. Immediately suspicious, because I know, working in the business when I was younger, like, nobody has 100% rate, especially some dude living in Montana that sells out of his garage on eBay. I am telling you, there's no way. And so I never trust 100%. Now, it's important what I note that is because people complain here, they complain to Amazon on their, messages. They might complain to eBay and they might get things fixed, right? You don't complain to your state comptroller when something goes wrong, right? If you didn't get your order from Amazon, you don't call your local congressman, essentially. And so 118 people reporting bad stuff to
that
the
over this
public
time,
ministry.
they haven't gotten their.
And since 2013, that they haven't gotten their shit. They've never got any of the items they ordered. Not just like, hey, maybe, and this happens. I've had this happen with GameStop when I order stuff on their big sales. I may order 10 or 12 retro games, right? Just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one is not in the box. I've had I don't blame GameStop. I do blame GameStop, but I blame their shitty warehousing. Like I got a copy of Final Fantasy 12, right? On sale.
PS2
and
or
PS2,
PS4?
PS2.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool, because we had seen it at E3 years ago. Remember, we talked about it, how I never played it, and it was on sale, so I bought one.
Well, that was the PS4 version.
Yeah, the PS4. So I bought a PS2 version for a couple of bucks. I was like, oh, cool, I'll jump into it, see what it is.
It's a little different, but yeah.
Saw it. Case was in good condition. Popped it open, looked at it for a sec. It was fine. Buy a lot of games. I put them on the shelf to play later. Pull it down. Maybe a year ago. Look at it. Flip it upside down. Right, it didn't read. Flip it upside down. Put it against the light, and it's pockmarked to hell and back. To hell and back, and unreadable. Right at this point, you can't get a return. It's been too long. But it's one of those things where, like, if you went through your quality assurance thing, the very least thing you could have done is popped it into a goddamn PS2. Right? At least pop it in to see if it boots up. Didn't boot up. So shit like that does happen. Nothing is 100%. Yeah. But I'm not going to call my local congressman and say, hey, fuck GameStop. I'm just going to say fuck GameStop on Twitter.
Yeah.
So no harm, no foul. It was only like $4, so whatever.
I mean, you can get the PS4 version for like 15.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that this shit does happen, even with big stuff. So they called her out to the ministry that their shit didn't come through. So now what's interesting is here in the States, no one would give a shit.
Yeah.
Nobody would give a fuck.
That would be spillage.
Yeah. They would be like, you went to the police and they was like, get the fuck out of here. We have work to do. Yeah, don't bitch to us. Go call Amazon or GameStop. And look, even after all this time, if I bitched to GameStop on Twitter, they'd probably give me like a $5 credit. Just to make it go away. Maybe because I have followers, but still they would probably be like, oh, okay.
The most you do is like contact the Better Business Bureau.
Mm-hmm. When it's serious, and if then there's a pattern of it, they might level fines. And that's it. They might level fines. They're not going to put you in jail. So she's going to jail for 116 years.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Think about that. What we just said is like, if you do that shit here, they're just going to fine your company maybe and be like, hey, don't be fucking assholes. Figure it out.
Deliver the shit.
Yeah. So this netted a fraud charge to her. And the maximum sentence for this is 116 fucking years, longer than the lifespan of a human being, for dicking over 118 people. Yeah. Bernie Madoff is in prison for bilking millions for decades from people. And he got just like 12, 13 years or whatever the fuck. This lady ran a store and didn't give some stuff out, and she's going to jail for 116 years. Now, noted, we have to note that due to Brazil's law, she has a chance to appeal, right? She's not under arrest right now. She's not sitting in a holding cell. She can appeal this, which means it'll probably get really reduced if she even does any jail time at all. Now this happens
in my article.
Yeah, this happens in the American judicial system too, right? When someone gets accused of a crime, they will level as many charges against them as possible within the book. Normal practice, right? Let's say you got a speeding ticket. They might say, well, you were, belligerent, or maybe you didn't have a signal. They'll add in everything so that you won't go to trial, but then your lawyer will be like, hey, this is bullshit. And they'll work your way down to probably one charge. Because
the reminder is they got Al Capone on taxes.
Yes, they got Al Capone on taxes. So the idea of it is to make you feel like you're getting one over on them, right? You're like, oh shit, there's 12 charges on this docket. I'm going to go to prison for 4 to 5 years. When in reality, It's just like that one misdemeanor,
Yeah.
and they're going to plead you down to it so you feel good, and your public defender feels like they've done a job, and everyone wins except for you.
Yeah, that's
But
stealing 101.
yes, um, in Brazil it's a little different. Now, according to her, this fuck up was that she ran it with her ex husband back when they were married.
Mhm.
This happens. This is the old blame game. She says that he is totally to blame for the missing items. Uh, Granted, he said in turn he's accepted 100% responsibility, right?
Mhm.
He's like, oh no, I didn't do this. So is he going to get 116 years in prison?
Nope, he's just gonna pay the fine,
He's
probably.
probably just going to pay the fine. All I know is I probably don't want to spend 116 years in prison in Brazil. Um, So, per Brazilian laws noted here in the article, you can read about it. Any one person can only serve a sentence of what is it like?
That's the mistake I found. It's supposed to be 30 years,
Yeah,
but
like 30
apparently
years or
when I
something.
tapped the 3, it didn't go through,
It's a zero.
and I didn't catch
Um,
it.
30 years, regardless of the crime or time frame. So it's a very weird system. I think it's kind of like the same way in like I could be wrong. I want to say like Norway or something or Finland, where the maximum for any crime is like 20 years even if it's like murder, but they could still say like we could sentence you to like 200 years or something. But
Mhm.
the judge can only provide a maximum of like 20. It's a weird system. Um, so she's probably not going to end up in prison. Um, so they're just going to pay some fines, but it's a weird headline to see.
Yeah.
The because this was a lot of places, like
Oh, yeah.
regular news sites were covering this, like video gamer it's sentenced to 100 years in prison. I'm like, what the fuck did she do? Meanwhile, guy that swats somebody and gets him killed is only going away for like 10. Uh,
Yeah, but he's such a rat bastard, he might not survive that 10.
he might not make it out in one piece. At least she'll be okay.